Hari Om. Welcome to Asana Workshop for warm-ups. So this is going to be the very first part of your practice, and more likely than not, the most important part of your practice. So when it comes to developing your warm-up sequence, you want to kind of think about the places in your body where you hold tension. So notice your areas of tightness, whether it be in your neck, or if you have stiffness in your shoulders, your back. Those are going to be the areas that you want to focus on, okay? And the reason I say that the warm-up could be the most important part of your practice is because even if you don't have time to do, let's say, an hour-long practice or even a full, complete movement practice, at the very least, if you do a few of these warm-up poses every morning when you get up, it's going to help you to massage the fascia and push the tension, push the trauma, the tension that you're holding in your body through. Okay, so this is all part of reprogramming the mind, right? So the reason the mind is in these looping patterns, remember, is that certain traumas get held in the body, right? So the body, the nervous system, holds on to these subconscious patterns, these trauma incidences, and there are many different ways to move through those, right? We're talking a lot about that in this course. One way is to feel the emotion as it arises, right? Feel the emotion as it arises. And another way is to move the body. And so through moving the body, you are bringing motion to that electrical system, that fascia system in your body, and allowing the prana to move freely. So if nothing else, if you don't do any other movement in the day, at least do some warm-ups when you wake up in the morning or whenever you have time, right? So take a moment to pause this video and jot down all of the tension patterns that you hold in your body, okay? Wherever you have aches, pains, tight muscles, sore muscles, you could even draw the figure of a body and color in the hot spots where you notice you have that tightness and that tension, okay? Then come back to this video and I'm going to take you through some different warm-up options. Okay, so when you come to warming up the body, you can think of this as warming from the toes to the head or from head to toes, whatever you prefer, or you can just go straight to those places that you know tend to hold a lot of tightness. So for convenience sake, I am going to give you some joint loosening exercises working from the toes to the head. And always in our asana practice, we will combine the movement or synchronize the movement with the breath. So we're using yogic breath here, inhaling into the belly, the chest, the throat, exhaling from throat, chest, belly. Linking the movements, we're going to begin with the toes, linking the movement to the breath. So as you inhale, straighten out the toes, spread them wide. As you exhale, curl the toes. All right, so you can move through a couple of breaths here, inhaling, straightening, spreading the toes wide, exhaling, curling. So we're focusing here only on the toe joints, inhaling, straightening, and as you exhale, curling. Okay, so if you have tension in your feet, if you get cramps in your feet, this is something you can work with. Now moving to the ankles, exhale, point the toes. Inhale, round in a circle, flex the toes. Keep moving with the breath as you exhale, point, circling around, inhaling to flex. Take a few circles in one direction and then change direction. Now, the other thing this joint loosening practice can help with is if you have an injury and you're recovering or you have limited mobility in a certain part of your body, you can work with just these joint loosening exercises in that particular part of the body. Moving on to the knees. As you exhale, hug the knee into your chest. As you inhale, straighten the leg, activate all the muscles around the knee to support the knee joint. Exhaling, curling in, inhaling, straightening out. Take a few on one side and then change sides. Exhaling, hugging in, and inhaling, straightening out. Now, moving on to the hips, joint loosening for the hips, we'll lie down on the back, hug one knee into the chest as you exhale, and begin to make a large hip circle as you inhale, like this. Exhale, hug the knee into the chest. Inhale, drop the knee to the side, straighten out the leg beside the other one, and then as you exhale, hug it back in. So we're making very big circles with the hip joints. Now, if your hips are tight or sore or clicking, you don't have to make such big circles. You can make small circles to start and then gradually make them bigger as you go along. Be sure to pause and change directions. Exhale, hugging in. Inhale, rounding. And making the same amount of circles in the opposite direction as you did before. Now, if you notice one hip is tighter than the other, then you might do a couple extra circles with that leg. Be sure to switch sides if you haven't already, taking a few circles in one direction. Notice the difference between your sides. It's very possible that one hip is tighter than the other. It's very possible that one hip might be clicking as the tendons roll over the bones. That's okay. If it hurts, make the circles smaller. Never go past the point of pain. Okay? Now, continuing with our joint loosening from the hips, we'll move to the spine. The spine moves in 3 directions. One is extension and flexion, which is back bending and forward folding. So we can work with that seated. We can also work with that on hands and knees. Taking the hands to the knees, seated cat-cow. As you inhale, arch the back. Really draw the chest forward and the shoulders back. Use the knees for leverage. Gaze up. As you exhale, chin to chest, belly to spine, round the pelvis, so you actually roll onto the sacrum. You want to really exaggerate this movement so you can feel it in all the vertebra joints. Inhale, opening the front side of the body. Exhale, rounding through the back side of the body. Now, if you only do one warm-up per day, I recommend you work with the spine. Why? Because the nerves are all originating in the spine. And so by keeping your spine healthy and flexible, by maintaining movement there, you are also regulating the nervous system. So 3 ways the spine moves. Extension and flexion. The second way is twisting. So from a seated position, we can take one hand behind the back, one hand to the thigh. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist the low back. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist the middle back. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist the neck and the eyes to the right. You can stay there with the breath for a few more cycles. And when you're ready, inhale back to center. As you exhale, twist the opposite direction. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, start the twist from the low back and work your way up. Take a few breaths here. Whenever you're doing your twists, make sure that the back hand is very close to the hips. So notice with my hand here, my spine is still nice and and vertical. Whereas if I put my hand back here, now my back is sort of leaning. It might even be rounded a little bit. So if that happens to you, you could always sit on a block, or you could opt for a different kind of twist. For example, this one here, wrapping the leg over, you might still need a block underneath your sit bone. So if there's any rounding in the back here, it's better if you just sit on a block. Okay, otherwise you can come here and then twist from here. Okay, so we have extension and flexion, we have twisting, and then we have lateral bending. So for the lateral bend, you can also do this one seated. Again, you can sit on a block, no problem here. Take the left hand to the mat, inhale, raise the right arm, and lean to the left. First leaning without rounding the spine, you're gonna notice an opening in the lower right side of your back. Then as you exhale, you can go ahead and round the spine, bringing that left elbow towards the floor or a block. It's okay if it doesn't reach. Right hand behind the head. Now notice to make sure the shoulders don't crowd the ears. So shoulders away from the ears, the gaze can be forward or up towards the elbow. Take a few slow, deep yogic breaths here. And then as you inhale, rise back to center. Place the right hand on the mat, inhale, left arm up, and again, lean to the right without rounding the spine just yet. And then as you exhale, bring that right elbow towards the mat, left hand behind the head, shoulders away from the ears, breathing into the left side of the rib cage now. And as you inhale, come back to center. Continuing our way up the body from the spine, we can move to the shoulders. So with the shoulders, for joint loosening, take the fingers to the front of the shoulders, the thumbs to the back. Inhale, raise the elbows up. Exhale, circle around. Just like with the hips, you can start with smaller circles and then make them bigger as it feels comfortable for you. Taking a few circles in one direction and then change direction. From there, we can move to the elbows. Exhaling, bending the elbows. Inhaling, extending. Taking a few of these. If the elbow joints tend to hold tension, or if you have an injury there, you can use this more. Moving to the wrists. Take the thumb inside the fingers and start to make wrist circles. Inhaling up and exhaling down. And be sure to switch directions. Fingers, inhale, extend the fingers wide, straightening out. Exhale, curl them in. Inhale, open wide, and exhale, curl in. This might seem very simple, but a lot of people deal with arthritis and carpal tunnel syndrome, and so this helps to maintain the mobility of your joints. And anytime we're linking the breath with the movement, it's still yoga. Okay, let's move up to the neck. A lot of people tend to hold tension in the neck. I know I do for sure. This is one practice that I do definitely every day, along with the 3 ways that the spine moves. So again, if you notice your back is rounded, be sure to sit on a block or a cushion, making sure the spine is nice and straight. As you exhale, drop the chin to the chest. Breathe into the muscles in the back of the neck. Keep the hands resting in the lap. And allow the weight of the head and gravity to drop the chin even more with every exhalation. Stay here as long as you need. On the inhale, you can roll the right ear to the right shoulder and pause there. If you'd like to deepen this practice, you can extend the left hand beside the hip. And again, just letting the weight of the head drop with every exhalation. Imagine as you exhale the tension sliding out of the body, out of the neck and into the earth. From here, you can exhale, roll the chin to chest. Inhale, left ear to left shoulder. And again, spending a few moments here with the breath. Option to extend that right hand. Just letting the weight of the head drop as you exhale, sliding all the tension out of the body. You can move with these semicircles, exhaling chin to chest, inhaling opposite ear to opposite shoulder. And as you move with a lot of mindfulness and notice if there's an area of tension. Pause and send extra breaths to that part of the neck. So as you're rolling and you notice there's a tight spot, stay there and send a few deep breaths into that part of the neck before you continue rolling. And when you feel complete, inhale to center. So that completes the joint loosening. This is, again, something that I would use if I was dealing with an injury or limited mobility or tightness in a certain part of the body. I would use one of these types of warm-ups before going on to do anything else. So I'm going to continue in that same fashion of giving you some warm-up ideas for each part of the body. And then you will be able to pick and choose what is appropriate for you and the tension patterns that you hold in your body. So let's begin with the toes. 10-toe stretch is a really good one. So if your feet have been in heels or spend a lot of time in boots or sneakers, this is a great practice. So you'll tuck your toes underneath, sitting on your knees, and you can stay like this, but this might be too intense. That's okay. You can just come into child pose. So when you're in 10-toe stretch, breathe up and down the sole of the foot. Imagine the breath moving up and down because each part of your foot corresponds to a different organ in your torso. Okay, so by opening and releasing the tightness, the fascia in the feet, we're also regulating the body once again. So that's one way to assist with opening up the toes and the feet. One thing that can help with the ankles is untuck the toes, gently kick your feet out from 10-toe stretch. If you have tight ankles, simply sitting in hero pose can be very supportive of that. Another one that could be a little intense, so take it easy, is to actually lift the knees, and you can put blocks under your hands here to make it not so intense, and lift the knees and open up the front side of the ankles. Okay. Of course, downward facing dog will be the opposite direction for the ankles and the calves. Now, when it comes to opening up the hips, we've already done hip circles. Figure 4 is a great option for opening up the hips. So you'll lie down, take one ankle to the top of the opposite thigh, keep the foot flexed. Option 1 is to press into the inner thigh like this. This is a great place to be if this is opening that hip. Another option is to reach for the back of the hamstring or the front of the opposite shin. Wherever you are, you can stay here with the breath. Remember, yogic breath into the belly, the chest, the throat, out from the throat to the chest to the belly. or you can gently rock side to side to get different parts of the hip. Be sure this top foot stays flexed. That's going to help protect your knee. Okay. Be sure to switch sides again, making sure this foot stays flexed. Option to push the inner thigh, the back of the hamstring, or the front of the opposite shin, and option to rock gently side to side. Okay, I skipped over the hamstring, so let's look at that. One way to warm up the hamstrings while lying down is to take a strap around the ball of the foot. If you don't have a strap, you can just use a piece of cloth, a towel, a sarong, something like that. And just hold here to the place where you can feel your hamstring active. Press into the ball of the foot and pull against the strap evenly. Let the shoulders, the head, the neck relax and breathe with it here. Option to open this foot to the side a bit, breathing into the inside of the thigh. Now remember, if this is a warm-up, do not go very deep. Only go to the place where you feel sensation, right to the edge, not to the place that's very intense because your body isn't warm yet. You can also open the IT band by dropping the foot to the opposite side while keeping the hip grounded. So you should feel this in the outside of the leg that's raised. Of course, you can try it with the other foot. Again, pressing into the strap and pulling the strap for some leverage, so it's a resistance stretch. And if you did on the other side, option to open it to the side very gently. Remember that you're not warm yet. And the IT band stretch. Sticking with some ideas to warm up the hamstrings, you can come to half split by stretching one leg out in front and straightening it out, flexing the toes. Now, you can always put your hands on blocks or the floor. Again, not going deep because we're not warm just yet. Also, you can open up the hip flexors by coming into a low lunge. So bringing this foot forward, you want to make sure the ankle's right below the knee and you're dropping this back hip down. The hips are square towards the floor. Again, hands can come to blocks or the floor, taking a few breaths. You could also move dynamically. So you could inhale, straighten the leg. Inhale, bend the leg. Exhale, straighten the leg. Moving with your breath. You're making sure to switch sides when you feel ready. So again, you can inhale forward and exhale back. All right, continuing to make our way up the body. Another way to warm up the hips early on is to take the foot in the crook of the opposite elbow, or it's okay if it doesn't quite reach, it can come here next to the hand as well. Wrap this arm around. If it can connect, great, but it doesn't have to. You can hold it just like this. The key is you want to keep the foot nice and flexed and gently rock the baby. So inhale to one side and exhale to the other. It's a great way to warm up the hips, bring some movement into those tight connective tissues. Be sure to switch sides. Okay. Continuing to make our way up, let's again look at the spine. So we looked at the three ways the spine moves while seated. Another option is to address those three directions from hands and knees. So of course, there's cat-cow, stacking the hands under the shoulders, the knees under the hips. Inhale, arch the back, look up. Exhale, belly to spine, round through the shoulders, tuck the chin. You can move through a couple of these with your own breath. And inhale back to center. For the spinal twist, you can plant the left hand under the face. Inhale, right arm up. And exhale, thread the needle. Sliding the right arm underneath, shoulder rests on the mat, head rests on the mat. Now the focus here is on the spinal twist. So you want to make sure that you're not dropping your hips over to the side, but keeping the hips nice and square. The way you can understand that is that you have your weight evenly distributed between both knees, and you're activating your core and twisting from the core. Of course, there's the variation to take this arm to the low back or straight out overhead. I personally like to keep it right here because it helps with leverage to twist the spine. Inhale, come up. And exhale back to center, other side, right hand under the face. Inhale, left arm up. And exhale, slide it under. Inhale, come back up. Now we've got the twist. From here, a great warm-up pose is also child pose. So for child pose, with the knees together, it's going to help you open the low back. So if you have a lot of low back tightness, this is a great option. If the low back is pretty open, but the hips are very tight, then taking the knees apart with the feet together and allowing the chest to sink down in between is going to help you open the hips a bit more. I have a tight low back, so I prefer this option. And the head can rest on a block or the floor. One more way that you can work with the twist, the spinal twist, is to lie down on your back. And this can be a warm-up, but it also can go at the end of your practice. A supine twist, so lift and shift the hips to the right, drop the knees down to the left, extend the right arm, and look to the right. After a few breaths there, you can inhale, come to center, shift the hips to the left, drop the knees to the right, and extend the left arm, look to the left. After a few breaths, inhale, come back to center. Another simple option for warming up the low back is just to hug the knees into the chest, massaging the low back, rocking gently side to side. To get that lateral bend, you can walk the hands over to one side. Option to stack the hand on top of the other. So if you're going to the left, stack the right hand on top of the left. Head rests between the arms. Here you'll take a few deep breaths up and down the side of the body. Inhale back to center and exhale over to the right. Option to stack left hand on top of right, breathing now into the left side of the body. And inhale, come back to center. You can rest in child pose for as long as you want. This is a great pose for first thing in the morning or when the low back is particularly tight. Moving on to the upper back now. So a great option for opening the upper back, or if you have chest tightness, is puppy pose. So staying on the knees with the hips directly over the knees, you can walk the hands forward and drop the chest towards the floor. It's okay if it doesn't reach. The forehead can rest on a block or the floor, or if the upper back and shoulders are quite open, then you can drop the chest and the chin. This is a really great opener for the thoracic spine. Another great way to access this part of the body, which you can do on the side of your bed. I do it sometimes on the wall or on the countertop. You can also do it with blocks on your yoga mat. So you take your elbows to the blocks. Your hips are directly up over your knees, hands clasped together, and then you're going to drop the head and the chest between the arms. The hands can rest behind you. Slow, deep breaths. So this is great for the upper back as well as the shoulders. Continuing with the shoulders, a great way to warm up the shoulders is to lie down on the mat. Make your arms like a T. Take your left arm underneath, your left hand underneath your left shoulder and roll towards the right side of the body. The head can just rest. If it feels good, you can go a little deeper by taking the left foot behind the right leg. And another option to go even deeper is to extend the left arm to reach the right. Slow, deep breaths here. And releasing to switch sides. Inhale, come back to center and back up onto the knees. Okay, so continuing to make my way through the body, we'll move on to the wrists. So we already talked about wrist circles. Okay, another great way to warm up the wrists, depending how tight they are. Sometimes when my wrists are extra tight, because I've been pushing Mako into waves, surfing, or practicing a lot of arm balances or something like that, is just to open up each finger. This feels really nice. And it gets sort of a different part of the forearm muscle. So that's an option. Okay. You also have on hands and knees to take the hands flat and make little circles, or you can lean forwards and backwards depending how good it feels on the wrist joint. You can also turn the hands backwards so the fingers point towards the knees. This will open up this part of the forearm. And then one of my favorites is to place the elbows down on the mat, make fists with the hands, and start to straighten out the arms, keeping the hands in fists. They might not go all the way straight. They might just come to here, and that's perfectly fine. You should feel this on the back side of your forearms. I hope this has helped you find some warm-up exercises that will support your process of releasing tension and balancing the nervous system. From this workshop, go to your patterns of tension and write down a list of some of these warm-ups that can go with each section. If you have any questions, just reach out to me. I have many other warm-up ideas that I'm happy to share with you so that we can begin building and catering your practice exactly for you. Okay, see you in the next one. Namaste.